Hey guys, Mix here, and in today's video we are back with the 1974 Corvette. So in last video, if you guys didn't see, we took the engine out of this thing because, well, it's been sitting for so long because of an awful screeching noise that would happen when you pushed in the clutch. I throw in a clip now, headphone users beware. So as you guys just saw, it is really bad, and I kind of figured that it was the throwout bearing, and when we took it out and was able to access the throwout bearing, we confirmed that indeed it was. You can see that it's actually in two pieces right now, and all of the ball bearings fell out of it. This thing is ultra crunchy, was 100% the cause of why this thing was practically undrivable. But the clutch did function, and did function perfectly. So once we dig into the engine a little bit, once all of the parts come to reseal it, and we're also going to be cleaning it up and repainting it, we're going to see if I should order a new clutch or not. I mean, it would be easy because it's right there, but at the same time, based on what I've seen so far, there seems to be a lot of clutch material left, and from what the previous owner told me is that this clutch is a very heavy duty, like, racing clutch, so it should have a lot of life left, but we'll see. But what I want to accomplish in today's video is try and clean up this engine bay a little bit. So there's just a bunch of stuff in here that is just not done right and just looks really bad, from like kind of like the old paint flaking up, and then all that bare metal starting to rust, to just oil caked everywhere, and then there's just wiring riggery. I mean, all these wires are just like spliced awful. There's no heat shrink. I actually don't even need this gigantic AC box because this thing doesn't even have AC. It did at one point, but it was taken out previously to, I guess, try and get some horsepower gain, because this engine is hopped up a little bit. And for those that don't know, this is a Doug Nash 4+1 transmission, so she's definitely had some work done before. And if we look down here at this awesome duct tape job, you can see that there is a big hole cracked into this thing, and which I believe is what really sends in smoke from all that oil that leaks out of the engine into the cab. This is definitely, I think, one of the issues, and plus this is just in the way. We don't need this anymore, so one of the first things we are going to be doing is probably going to be getting rid of this. They do sell block-off plates for people who do remove this. I didn't order one just because I wanted to see if I can make my own, but this goes all the way in there. There's the fan motor right there, which none of this works, and none of it will function when you know, do any of these switches or anything like that. So what we're going to start off with doing first is, before we go ahead and like try and clean this to the best of our ability, because we will actually be painting this, and I'm not going to go crazy with a crazy paint job and using the paint gun. I'm just going to use, you know, simple enamel spray paint. I'm not going to go to town with this, but I do want to make it look, you know, obviously a little bit nicer, which we could definitely accomplish with simple spray paint that's specifically made to, you know, withstand the heat of an engine bay and everything like that. But like I was saying, we're just going to remove everything that's in the way that we don't need anymore, and along the way just start cleaning up all of the wires and kind of marking what I might need to, you know, redo with the wiring. And I also got a heat gun and some heat shrink, and try and seal up all of these open wires so we don't get any bad connections or anything like that. And then once we're done with that, we'll go ahead and just start cleaning, sanding some areas, and maybe doing a little wire wheel in some areas, and start prepping this thing for paint and clean it along the way. And then we'll lay down a couple layers and, well, see how she looks. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it and get to work. So guys, I just got this giant AC box out of the way. Definitely pretty interesting, but you can see how beat up it was. I didn't even see that hole up there, and then this big mess right there. And then if we take a look over here, you can see like all of like these heater type hoses that just lead both to nothing. So we can do away with all of those, but you can see how much room there is now. You can really see it when we come around to the other side of the car. And it's just like incredible how much room it goes now. So it should definitely be a lot easier to get that header bolt and some of those bell housing bolts now. And plus you could actually see right outside the car through that vent, which is pretty cool. those two hoses out of the way, and I also just ordered a AC delete cover. So that should be here in a couple days, and then patch all of that up. But next up, what I want to do is clean up all of this wiring and get it much, much nicer. I mean, you can see a lot of it is in the wire looms and everything, but it doesn't look that good. So I'm gonna undo the wire looms, try and save what I can, but just try and tuck everything in nicely. And you can see how everything's just coming out. And I'm probably also gonna, you know, cut off or just pull off a lot of these connectors and redo them and then heat shrink them to get them all sealed up. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty guys, so we're actually back here the next day. I had to wrap up working yesterday really quick, but I got a lot of the wires like all sealed up to the best of my ability. And I mean, you know, obviously these ones are still poking out because I have to plug these in once the engine is in, and then we can kind of better route where everything's gonna go. And the same with over here. These wires are all for the alternator, and what I want to do is kind of mount this up here, but I don't know if that's gonna reach the alternator, so we have to just wait and see until the engine is in to really, you know, mount up this wire harness in a nice spot and not just let it hang like that. And then for over here, I don't think we actually need any of this anymore because it's for the AC, but I'm gonna wait until that cover comes to see if it has anything that I can you know, hide the wires or anything like that, because these do go into the harness. So once the cover gets here, we'll deal with that, and by the end of this video we'll have something planned out for this. So what I want to do right now is kind of just spray everything down that has, you know, a bunch of dirt and, you know, oil and stuff all over it. Let it soak for just a little bit and then scrub it. And what I'm honestly just gonna do is take the hose in here and just spray everything down. You know, trying to avoid the wires, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then you can see right here is I used the heat gun to try and get off all of that duct tape and everything. Got off as much as I can, and I'm just gonna take like a wire wheel or just sand that until that's all gone. And then we're actually gonna end up just throwing like that high temp paint on the headers. I did it on the MG and actually like some of my dirt bikes in the past, and that stuff actually works pretty well. And like I was saying before, I'm not gonna dump a ton of money into this and get like brand new headers and like really expensive paint for the engine bay, just because I'm not gonna be popping the hood on this very often. I just want to drive it, but I just want to know that it looks a little bit better than this, like how it's just flaking up everywhere and just there's just dust and dirt and everything all over the place. It's just some improvement that I want, you know, that'll make me happy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just try and wash down this engine bay, and then once we're done with that, we'll kind of prep it for paint to the best of our ability, and we'll see where we are from there. Alright guys, so I actually just finished putting on the second coat. Of course, the first coat, the one where you can actually see like the whole transformation, time lapse, I lost. Definitely looks 1,000 times better for just, you know, spray paint, which is, you know, great on a budget. Everything is looking nice and shiny, and I didn't go crazy with sanding everything down to bare metal. I just scuffed everything so it was somewhat smoother, because I would have been here for literally weeks trying to get stuff down to bare metal. But walls on the side came out really nice, and then even like back here I just kind of blacked everything out. Even the master cylinder, and master cylinder looks great. When I first got it, I sanded this down to like bare metal because it was orange like how it was before with rust, and it changed back completely back. So we just did a right on her, and she's good now. And then I did the cross member, and then even back at the frame rail, still kind of wet right now, because now that the AC box is all gone, you can actually see it go all the way back. And then I didn't paint the bell housing, I just kind of cleaned it up and just left it how it was. This thing is going to look much better once all of these wires are where they should be and they're not just dangling out. Once the engine's in, and the engine's going to be looking much better. That one I'm actually going to go pretty crazy on with the paint. And then once we get that cover in the mail to cover all of this up, that's going to look really good as well. So I still have to wait for that. So this engine base far from completed. And then also, as you can see real quick, I just did the high temp spray paint on that, which I love, and it always makes the headers look amazing. For once again, just using spray paint. I'm going to catch you guys back once we get that cover in the mail. I'm going to throw a couple more layers of paint on just cause, but we'll kind of see how everything starts drying. But anyway guys, with that being said, I'll catch you guys back once we get that cover in the mail. Alright guys, so we're back here just a couple days later, and I just got in the cover plate for where the AC is. This is really nice, full aluminum. I do still have to clean up and kind of trim off all of this extra junk that's in the way. Like, I gotta take off the copper tubes, and I'm just gonna trim off all of this plastic overhang. All of this is junk anyway, so I don't really care. And we have to do this so it can lay flat against the firewall, because they do sell like covers that are not flat like this, so you can have all of that if you're gonna keep like some of the components like for the fan and stuff. But since we're not, they have this, so I just have to get that all flush with the firewall. So let's go ahead and do that real quick, and then we'll start fitting this thing up. So I'm just starting to test fit this plate and just make sure that, you know, it lines up with all the studs and the bolts that it needs to, and it doesn't, of course. So what I'm going to do is drill out this one a little bit bigger, and then maybe down here, so it'll fit nicely. So I have these two in right here, and then you can see maybe right at the edge how it just barely doesn't fit there. Yep, there you go. And then that side is in as well, right down there. So we're just going to drill it out real quick and try and get this to fit a little bit nicer. Alrighty guys, so I just finished up mounting and painting and completing basically this block off plate, and it looks absolutely amazing. Looks so much cleaner in here with that. And then, as you guys saw before, I did make my own little gasket for it to help seal it up. And it did have some foam from the AC box originally, but you can see that it is a nice tight fit, so we definitely shouldn't have any smoke coming through. But then again, we shouldn't have any smoke anymore once we get the engine all sealed up and back in here. So that is what is next up on the list. I'm actually probably going to start doing that today, because I believe we have all of the parts in. Next video, we should be completely transforming that thing, getting it looking really good and all sealed up, so we don't have any more leaks. And then I also got the new throwout bearing in, which we could put in as well right before we go ahead and throw it back into the car. So for just a little, you know, spray paint job, I think this came out really good. There's obviously some imperfections here and there, but like I was saying earlier, I just wanted it to be a little bit better. I mean, before it was really bad. I mean, the thing it looks so worn down in here. Now it's a little bit more vibrant. But anyway guys, with that being said, I'm going to be ending off this video here. Follow my social medias, it will be on the outro of this video. Instagram and Snapchat I use the most. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, friends with the channel.